Hey, NorCal Carters, this is Jason, and we are at Prairie City, and I'm sitting here with Donald Durbin from Prairie City, also the owner of Cambrian Go-Karts. And you guys have made a lot of changes since the last time we chatted a few months ago. Maybe that was already 6 months ago. And so bring us up to speed. What have you guys done out here? Let's talk about some classes you introduced and some future plans.
No problem. I don't remember where we did leave off, actually, but we've been having fun every day, basically. We've got some more containers put in, put some asphalt down, made some more garages, if you will, trying to clean up the pits as we're fortunate enough to have more trailers come to the races and show up. I want to, allow more parking and more access to the grid, so we did a couple of 8-foot wide walkways recently to allow the second row of trailers, not to feel like they're in the dirt, and they've got a nice pathway right up to the grid. Same thing on the adjacent fence looking at the track. But the changes are fun, but I mean, honestly, it's just a necessity. We just want to I would like to keep improving things. We've got this beautiful place, good bones, as I said, and I just want to do what we can, give back to it, make it a more friendly place to be.
No, it's been looking good out here. And I've spent more time out here in the past year than I have in the past 20 years. I just keep forgetting how close your track is to my house. And last year, after buying the membership, it's a 40-minute drive. Boom, hop in the truck. I'm out here.
Perfect.
And about a month ago, I did a video on NorCal Carters on the Facebook page. I did a walkthrough on your pits after you had just paved it, and the little running asphalt that you have there behind the scale tower. And like you said, all the way down the pits, down to the end, it really opened everything up.
Yeah.
And it brought those guys at the very end into your track. Before it was like, oh, what track are we at? Are we at the dirt oval? Are we at the kart track? They're kind of tucked away.
Now it's a big, long cul-de-sac, which is much more inviting.
Exactly. No, it's a lot of good changes. Where we left off last time, you had a checklist of things you wanted to do around the track, and you had made the comment, one of my little goals was to have palm trees and tires. Yeah. And that's kind of where we ended the last podcast, because you already had those out here at the time.
Right.
You were talking about the paving. You had mentioned the container stuff. Yeah, and for a while, it seemed like Prairie City was a trailer storage yard. And you'd come here and there was always a lot of trailers. There wasn't a lot of activity. Mm-hmm. And then now you come here. I'm usually out here, on a Tuesday or a Thursday is when I try to come out. And there are always racers testing on a Tuesday or a Thursday. And then you have the concession cart stuff going. You always have the rental stuff. It's really neat to see just how it's kind of growing into its own, if you will.
Yeah, well, maybe previously it was only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it took a little time to make it known that we're here every day, like as a business, and also ready to receive those that come through the gate. So I think groups of people are finding their day of the week that they enjoy taking time off, or maybe they have a flexible schedule and they're congregating on those days. There's a group that shows up Monday midday. There's ones and twos that show up in the morning and the afternoon, and then it gets busy in the late afternoon. And then Tuesday there's a large group of friends and guys that come out and have a blast until about 1 o'clock, and then it kind of rolls into rental carts and people getting off work. Wednesday the park's closed. And then, like you said, you guys show up on Thursdays, and so do others, and it's fun. It is. Yeah. It's nice to see. It's better than being all alone. There's days where it's like, gosh, I really need to go out and do some weed whacking or cleaning up, but I'm much more happy helping the people and watching them drive.
Well, there's something to be said about having kind of a running partner. You talk to a lot of different people just in sports in general, or even in business. They try to associate themselves with people that are like-minded, and they kind of have similar goals. And it's really neat to see like those groups that you just mentioned that come out on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Thursday. And for me personally, it's helped. Just having, my buddy out here and getting those texts like, hey, are we going out to the track on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we going to be doing? Whether we're working on his cart or I'm just pounding laps, it doesn't matter. But now I know I have that one extra person, and I just can't say, I'm not going to go to the track today. I have a busy week with work, etc. It's like, no, I got my buddy saying, hey, you're going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat. So if you're out there listening and you're kind of by yourself, the best thing to do is just go to the track. My buddy Jason, I met him at the track. We reacquainted ourselves out at Blue Max about a year ago. And so if you're just sitting there listening, it's like, I don't really have anyone to go with. Bring your cart out, start doing some laps, find somebody else that has a similar engine package that runs in a similar class to you. Just introduce yourself. And it makes it a lot nicer. And I see that a lot out here. I mean, you have a lot of mini groups out here.
Yeah.
And it's not cliquish. It's just you have John comes out here with his kids all the time, and the kids are always hanging out with their friends and doing their kid cart thing. Jason and I are kind of chipping away at the Briggs thing. And then you have the shifter guys.
Yep.
I mean, those are the ones I kind of naturally gravitate to, just to see how embarrassing my times are. But there's a lot going on. And then you have a bunch of track layouts too.
Yeah, and that might be, part of the other incentive is with the racing series kind of underway, you have something to look forward to. It's like, okay, we just finished this race. It was a lot of fun. What's the next layout? And then we'll, like this morning, start rearranging the track for the next race that's coming. And then it, gives you, like you said, the reason to come out, get ready. Because it's not like a month ago you did, 100 laps and you got ready and you know what gear you want. Now you need to start fresh, start over, come out and visit us.
Yeah, and even if you're not, if you're a karter, but you're not in that race mode, and you're not ready to come out to the track and just go jump into a race. Again, coming out on a non-race weekend or in the middle of the week is a great time to get your butt in the seat and to come out, meet some friends that are like-minded to say, hey, well, we don't plan on racing, but we really enjoy coming out and just driving.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And I think, when your shop is very busy. We've been trying for 3 weeks to sit down and do a podcast.
Yeah.
And you have something going on with the track every moment. You have something going on with your shop every moment. And so if you're listening to this, please be aware a lot of the shops are very similar. Their next focus is that next race. And sometimes it really helps just to have a buddy and come out, do the laps, just drive, and just know once you pick the days that you find are a little bit slower or a little bit more opening to the guys that aren't racing but just want to pound laps, makes the experience a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and being here on our side, me and the guys that are here helping me every day, which I'm thankful to have, we will police the day. If it looks like there's 30 people out practicing and it's not a good mix, I want the experience here to be comfortable, not like, well, there was no time for me or I'm always in the way. That's not appropriate. I mean, nobody should feel like they're in the way or an inconvenience. So a lot of the times it breaks up into 3 groups. Kid carts, 206 and cadet, that seems to be a pretty good mix most of the time, and then tags and shifters. And we'll just keep cycling through. It gives you a time to take a break, come in, have some water, watch the monitors, see what's happening, or work on your cart. But you're also not wondering, like, is it time for me to go out? What should I do? I mean, that's part of our jobs to make sure it's known and you have a comfortable experience on the track, not just... Because you can't practice or feel like you're going to get better or improve, which is the whole game, if you're moving out of the way of a shifter coming up, or if you're getting startled by a guy out-braking you in the corner with front brakes or whatever it might be, and vice versa. If there's some people that are genuinely trying to get ready for an event and want to do some, I'll say, testing, then in their defense, they'd not want to be on the track with, a cart at a different speed or a different ability. it happens and it's okay. But when possible, let's give everybody a clean opportunity to execute what they want to do and then come in and make a change. Nobody's driving 30 laps in a row, so it's pretty easy to just take turns.
Yeah, no, and you're exactly right about that. And I've been able to find the times where the track is clear, I can go out, I can get 10, 15 laps in, all clean laps and pull in.
Yeah.
And then you have the group of guys that all want to run together, and they just clog the track up. Not because they're slow, but because when they go out, their whole idea is, I'm going to go beat my buddy.
Yeah.
And you watch them, they're going 3 wide everywhere, they're clogging the track, and it's like, okay, well, if you have a fast lap coming up, and you come up to them, and it's like, well, there goes that lap. And then on the flip side, that's why they're here. They're here to go race with their buddies.
Yeah.
It is fun watching them come off the track, and they're all laughing and smiling. It's like, oh, did you see that? And or how they slow it down on the track and bunch each other up. And that's the nice thing about the club tracks. It's not so stringent. And then you also have a lot of classes available out here. So it's not like it's a single engine package.
Right.
I mean, you can bring, like you already mentioned them. You have the kid carts. You have the Briggs, you have shifters, tags, and, so a lot of times if you're looking at a race schedule and you go, well, I got this older cart and I'm not sure if I can come race, give Donald a call and say, hey, I have an older KT100. Can I bring it out to the track? Do you have a class for me? Or can I just drive? And as long as it's safe and it's up to date on the bodywork, there shouldn't be a problem with that.
No, not at all. That's why you have that go-kart. It's not extinct. You might not be able to compete with it, but at the same time, you got to be able to drive it, and you're welcome here.
Yeah, and speaking of competing, we spent a few minutes talking about the, kind of more of the recreational karter guy that just comes out, pounds laps, etc. But the racing. Yeah. So you have 2 race weekends. You have the 2-stroke weekend, and you have the 4-stroke weekend.
Correct.
And about a month ago, you moved the 80 shifters off the 4-stroke weekend to the 2-stroke weekend.
Yes. Because
you felt that that was a better fit for them, and your numbers in the 4-stroke stuff have been fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have a new class for the 4-stroke guys. Tell us about it.
Yeah. The Masters group, which has always existed, 35 and older or 200 pounds as a driver, is a pretty straight across the board class. And I've had a lot of fun and pleasure of meeting and introducing a lot of great people into that class and sport. And lucky for us, it turned out to be a 30-plus field class week in and week out. And besides the fact that that's getting pretty big for I'll say, smaller track, when I was looking at the registration sheet after one of the races, worrying about this long snake, if you will, going around the track. We've got some different abilities. We've got some very experienced veteran drivers, and we have some very quick to learn, doing a great job, newer drivers. And I was always afraid to dilute a good thing, but I was interested, and I got some feedback from some of the drivers that, you opposed to doing in like a 50 and over class. So I looked at the registration sheet and kind of put a check next to everybody that was 50 and over, and I thought we'd give it a shot. And we were lucky. We had 20 in the Grandmasters class, the 50 and over class, just a couple days after we introduced it, and I want to say 19 or 20 Masters. And what it did is it created really fun opportunities for like groups to race together, and possibly, allow some new faces to emerge towards the front. And that was really cool and exciting. So we had I think we kind of officially created that class about a week before the race, and again, great turnout. And then we've been having fun lately at all of the awards ceremonies at the end of the day on the podium. We've been lucky. We had the Thomas Fogarty Winery donate champagne for the adult classes, which is
I saw those sitting by the steps.
The Masters and the Grandmasters, and then sparkling cider for all of the 21 and under classes, and that has turned out to actually be a lot of fun. Kids get to get up there and pop the cork and spray each other and receive the trophies, and the adults are doing the same thing, and it's kind of a nice way to end the day, and we will continue that. That has been a blast.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. And so what do you have coming up? Is either track plans? Are you pretty comfortable with all your classes right now?
Yeah, I like I said, the last thing I want to do is start inventing classes. That's where we constantly get ourselves in trouble in this sport, in my humble opinion. I mean, we've got to kind of follow suit. There's higher ups that kind of create what is happening in today's karting world, and usually that is a good fit all the way down. I'm not one to say, well, it sounds like there's a whole bunch of Yamahas out there in people's garage, let's offer that class. I think I'd rather just build on what is working right now. And COVID forced us to split the weekends, and I will never turn back. When COVID is done, we will continue to have 4-stroke weekends and 2-stroke weekends. It allowed us to offer 2 heats in a main. It allowed us to offer a better quality event, and maybe it has something to do with why so many people are coming, which I'm really excited about. I love putting the races on. I absolutely love it. I lose sleep over it. I wake up early in the morning thinking about things that I've forgotten to do, but I would not change that for the world. Looking at what happens during the weekend, especially on Sunday, makes me really, really proud. And I want to constantly keep critiquing myself and looking for ways to make it better. From the racing, which is probably number one, the guy or gal that puts their helmet on and goes out on my track and is expecting to have a good, fair, quality event. That's going to be always probably my number 1.5 focus, and the other half is going to be the people visiting the facility. Need to have shade or amenities or a family environment, things to do. But back to the racing, we had, I believe, 3 4-stroke weekends previous to this one, and they were all right at or just under 100 entries with those 5 classes. So
your 4-stroke weekend, 4 strokes only, 5 classes, just shy of 100 entries.
Yeah, we're always like 97, 93, 98. And what's cool, or not cool, is I keep losing and then gaining a group. And not like they're gone forever, but we've got a conflict in Indiana or Buttonwillow. And as careful as I try to be, it is, as all of you know, impossible to miss everything. But I try and be very courteous to the immediate surrounding area, and then those shops that I know travel. I will try very hard, if I want their participation, which I do, I'll do my very best to not set something up that is, on top of a big traveling weekend, which is important for them. I also did not anticipate that some of those shops were going to be at the 4-cycle weekends, but they're coming out and having a great time.
Well, let's mention a couple of those shops then.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun. In the beginning, I missed it a few times with Greg from Leading Edge, but he was out with his gang having a blast. Austin Elliott has, I think, doubled his club race participation on his end, which is awesome to see. I mean, he was out at the previous race with 10 carts and 20 tents, and it was great, and I really appreciate having them there. He's just around the corner, so it's hopefully easy for him to get here. Rodney Rivera, we had a conflict in their schedule with Nevada's kart track and here last race, so we weren't lucky enough to have them here, but he always comes out and has a great group of drivers. And there's more, and I'll think of them in just a second. Cole Nelson was here the other day with Matthew and Dean and his dad, but when he came with all of his drivers at our first race. You know, it was great having them there. So I appreciate all of that a lot. But again, if all of those guys were able to consistently come, I mean, shoot, we would be at 150 entries.
Yeah.
But that's not my, I keep saying the entries out loud. That's not my focus. If there's 50, it needs to be quality. If there's 150, it needs to be quality. And that's why we're not going to, what started this conversation was the 2-stroke and the 4-stroke. If we had 15 classes running in one day, I wouldn't be able to do it the right way. It would just be a rush job, chop shop. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Can't address this situation. Can't go talk to that person about what just happened. I really enjoy talking to the drivers on the grid before they start their engines, before each heat race, to kind of try and remind them what our motto is here, if you will. And then back to the beginning of this conversation, with that many karts starting to race of different types of ability, we're going to have some incidents. You know, we're going to have some people disappointed that they were knocked off the track. We're going to have some people disappointed that, you know, somebody was rough driving, or all the things that we don't want to condone and I don't want to accept. So last race we mandated the pushback bumpers this last weekend, and I was really proud of all of the starts and almost all of the racing. The starts were, I think there was one unfortunate incident that was nobody's fault. You know, they just spun out right before entering turn 1 and collected, you know, a couple of people.
On the first lap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we had 15 plus drivers going through turn 1, 2, 3, and 4 without conflict. And then they were able to go and race. And it was interesting seeing people adapt to being considerate. I told them, I said, you need to be selfish. You need to protect your nose at all costs. And if everybody has that mindset, then nobody's going to run somebody off the road. You're going to actually remember how to pass somebody properly.
Without blasting them out of the way.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
Not acceptable.
Well, and I know you don't want to, really focus on the numbers, but in reality, you are a racetrack. You do run a race series.
Yeah.
And when racers are looking for places to go, the first thing they look at is how many and who.
Yeah, and that's, I want them to come here because it is good racing. It is good quality racing. We had 15 kid karts, and that was really cool. Big old long line of them. Couple more joining us next race. Actually 4. And then we're going to build a couple this week and get them out there as well. And it's just good, consistent growth. And you're right. If I know for a fact that I'm going to make a place up, Irwindale, and race their club race, and there is consistently 4 junior 2 drivers, or I go the other direction to Prairie City and it looks like their history is 18 to 20, then you're right. I am going to be excited to go and join that. So, yeah, it's great momentum, and I'm very appreciative, and I will never forget, and I will never not remember that. So I appreciate everybody that comes very much.
So I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap up the podcast. When's your next event?
Our next one, it caught me off guard. I think our next one is a 2-stroke race, and it is, let me check PCKarting.com, but I think it's June 26th.
I'm actually NorCalKarters.com, and I should know that, and I don't. But NorCalKarters.com, you have the calendar. PCKarting.com is Donald's track website. And thanks for the time.
Thank you for the time.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.